Hey there, friends and enemies, Joper here again, and today I want to go over the 10 upcoming RPGs that I'm looking forward to the most. And while there's a lot of variety in this list, what all these have in common is the previews so far have been really exciting. Now, not all of them will be dropping in 2025. Some of them are still several years away, but I can't wait for each and every one on this list. Anyway, starting off at number 1, we have Avowed. This is a game that is releasing very soon in February of 2025, and Obsidian has an excellent track record, so I really trust them to deliver with this game. Some of the previews have been hit or miss. A lot of people have been concerned, especially because the game has already been delayed quite a bit, and so because of that, there are reasons to be worried about this game's performance long term. I think it's going to be very good. I do like the direction overall. Obsidian does an excellent job with player agency and choice within a game, so that should be a factor that works in its favor. And ultimately, I do hope this game succeeds. Unfortunately, February is very crowded for video game releases, including Monster Hunter Wilds, which is going to likely dominate the headlines. So I just hope this game doesn't get lost in the shuffle, because I really want it to be a massive success, so Obsidian can make more games in this franchise. And at number 2 is another game that releases in 2025 and I believe is going to be an absolute game changer, and that is Clair Obscur Expedition 33. This has such an interesting mix of combat potential, from some tactical player companion choice options to a reactionary system where you can parry and counter within a turn-based system, which is kind of wild and definitely a unique style. So the voice cast for Clair Obscur looks to be awesome. I'm very excited about that overall. A lot of the cast is recognizable, including we have Andy Sorkin, we have Ben Starr, who was Clive in Final Fantasy XVI, and ultimately the cast is very deep. It looks excellent, and they put a lot of time, energy, and effort into this game, and the story looks incredible from what we've seen so far as well. So this is one that is very much going to be towards the top of my list because of how exciting it is. Then we have, at number 3, The Witcher 4, and this game is several years out for sure, but the tease we got has me personally very excited. There have been complaints about Ciri being the next Witcher, and I think those are absolutely ridiculous. If you played 3 and the DLC, I feel like this is the next logical step in the franchise, and she looks awesome in the trailer, in my opinion. I also think this game is going to right the ship, essentially, for CD Projekt Red. Cyberpunk 2077 had an amazing turnaround, but people won't forget the poor launch. I feel like they learned the lesson from that game, and The Witcher 4 will release in a much better state. They've reclaimed some of that positivity for the studio, and so because of that, I think The Witcher 4 will be a return to form where everyone is falling back in love with the franchise. I cannot wait. Obviously, we need to see more gameplay and everything, but for now, I'm really excited. Another game that's just been teased that is still a long way away, but really is a game that everybody who is a fan of video games will be looking forward to, and that is Elder Scrolls 6. Now, since Xbox has transitioned into having pretty much all their games be multi-platform, I would imagine this will come to PS5 as well, even though it originally seemed to be this would be an exclusive game. And that's pretty exciting. So you can play this game no matter what console you're on. If you're on PC, I would imagine as well. And ultimately, this is the next great game. And as I talked about with CG Projekt Red and Cyberpunk, this is a chance for Bethesda to right the ship as well, because they have really struggled with some of the more recent games. Fallout 4 really had some issues. Starfield never really hit the peaks that they had expected. from that game and franchise, and so because of that, I do feel like they are going to be all hands on deck with Elder Scrolls 6 and do everything they can to make that game a success. So I really think it has the potential to be a generational title if it lives up to the potential. And from Obsidian to Elder Scrolls, so Skyrim, the Elder Scrolls games have always been absolutely awesome, and so I can't wait to get hands-on with this one as well. At number 5, we have another game that's releasing in 2025, this one later in the year, and that is Crimson Desert. This is a new franchise in the Black Desert universe, but it's a new single-player game that looks sick. The combat looks excellent. It kind of has a cross between The Witcher and just a bunch of other games. It has some very interesting vibes that I am a big fan of. Everything we've seen from the story so far, from some of the traversal elements, the combat, the bosses, all of it looks incredibly well done. And the fact that this is going to be available this year is awesome. I know it's going to be later in the year. Hopefully it doesn't run into a juggernaut like Grand Theft Auto 6 or anything, but overall, it is one of my most anticipated games, and I think it could be a sneaky contender for Game of the Year in 2025. Up next is a little bit of a cheat because it is a remaster, but that is the Suikoden 1 and 2 HD remaster, which I am beyond hyped for. I played Eiyuden Chronicle in 2024, which I thought was a solid spiritual successor, but being able to return to Suikoden after so long is tremendous, and I hope this leads to a new entry in the franchise sooner rather than later. I'm really excited for this update, and I will be playing the remaster day one. Absolutely, you will catch me there. And again, not only with this one, but I hope there's other old favorite JRPGs like Breath of Fire or something Chrono Trigger, which do get updated to modern consoles. Final Fantasy games would also benefit from that, like Final Fantasy Tactics, maybe even Final Fantasy IX. Something like that could be really nice. So I'm just really excited about Suikoden being back in my hands. From there, we move on to a Final Fantasy game, and that is Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3. We don't have a name for this, but we know the developers are working on it already, and after Rebirth, this one is another surefire banger in my opinion. Remake was good, Rebirth was better, and the third entry looks to be the best of them all. We have the full team assembled, and I cannot wait. I absolutely love these games. I think they are fantastic. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was my game of the year 2024, and ultimately I just think this game is going to be an epic conclusion to this trilogy. Even though I know some people don't like that it was split up into 3 parts, I believe that this was the right direction because of how extravagant the game is overall. It is absolutely fantastic. Graphics wise, combat's really nice, and just the whole storyline is very interesting to me as well. From there, we have 3 more games, and all of them are going to be essentially brand new franchises. First off, we have Chrono Odyssey, which is a MMO, but it has a interesting twist where you kind of control time in combat. It's got different classes, different options. I think this is one of the better looking games in the MMO space that we've gotten in quite some time as far as the unique style of it. And so because of that, I'm incredibly excited, and I can't wait for this one to drop. There's no release date yet. I hope we get more information on either when it's releasing in 2025, or maybe we get a beta or early access launch in 2025. Any of that would be very good, because I do feel like this is a game that has to hit the right window and can't launch alongside any other big name MMOs or long RPGs, because it could get overshadowed if they're not careful. So that's one I'm really looking forward to finding out more, hopefully in the near future. From there, we have Light No Fire. This is the RPG from the developers of No Man's Sky, and From what we've seen so far, it looks insane. You can traverse the entire world, fly on dragons. It's an art style that not everybody will be a fan of, but I personally love. And ultimately, the updates to No Man's Sky have proven this developer over at Hello Games knows how to stick with the game long term, continue to update and iterate and add and make the game into the title that they want it to ultimately be. There have been so many free updates for No Man's Sky that have turned that game into what was originally something of a laughingstock that did not live up to expectations into one of the best ongoing games of this generation. And I do hope that Light No Fire follows suit with that, because it has the potential to be absolutely awesome, and I cannot wait to see more. From there, we have another game from a beloved developer going in a different direction, and the final entry on this list is going to be Soulframe. A lot of people were concerned with the combat we saw early on in the Soulframe reveals, but for me, I trust Digital Extremes. They've done such an awesome job with Warframe over the years that I have zero doubt they are going to get this game right in one form or the next. I think they are one of the best development teams in the world right now, and they've shown that they can develop a live service game. They've shown that they can stick with a game, add new features, change and overhaul things without taking away the core elements of the game, and I believe that this is one of those games that will be successful long term, even if they have to brute force it in some way or another. Ultimately, I hope to hear more about this one and Light No Fire in 2025. I don't know if we'll get release dates for either, but I am hopeful that we'll at least get an idea on when these games are going to be releasing sometime this year. Chrono Odyssey, Light No Fire, and Soulframe are all interesting new takes on the genre, and I definitely want to see more from all of them because I feel like they could be absolutely awesome. And the developers have shown on a lot of these games that they are to be trusted, which is why, even though we don't have gameplay in full for some of these entries, I know that they are going to be massive RPGs that I personally will enjoy. Anyway, let me know if there's any that you would add to the list or any I might have forgotten in the comments down below. Like the video as always. Subscribe if you have not already. My name is Jopa. Have a good one. I'll catch you all later.